time, I'm going to introduce Nimarta. I'm very excited to have her here.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for that introduction. It's always a bit strange, isn't it, listening to your own credentials being read out? I think, bottom line, all of that is that I've done a lot in the marketing world. It's my home ground, but where I'm most passionate about is working with small to medium businesses, businesses where I get to really just partner business owners, understand your vision. Where do you want to take your business? How do you want to better your industry, and really help business owners like that with a vision to achieve that vision. So just thrilled to be here. Thanks EOP and Growth Gen for hosting this workshop. All right, so we're talking about marketing and how to ramp up your marketing in 2022. Now, I'll give you a bit of a sense of how today's session is going to go. So it will be hands-on, meaning that it will be a working session. I'm going to pause and give you a chance to work and actually do some actual work. I don't know about you, but one of my pet peeves is being in a session and then walking away feeling more overwhelmed because now you've got a bigger to-do list and you still don't know where to start. So I actually really want you to be able to do some work and get some momentum happening today in the session itself. Participation. Look, I love participation. Otherwise, it's a bit like watching TV. And I think we all have been on Zoom long enough, and sometimes it's easy to switch off and kind of check out. So I really do invite you to participate. I will ask you questions. You don't need to be on video to share. You can be, but as long as you're putting your hand up, and I think if you can put your virtual hand up, then I can see for those who aren't on video, then I can call on you. You'll need a notepad or something to write with. We will send you a template through the chat when we get to that part. But before that, we will do some work as well that will require you to write things down. So just make sure you've got something, or even if you're taking notes on your laptop. All right, so that's just a bit of a setup for the session. So first of all, I'm really excited about this. Let's dispel some marketing myths, and hopefully this kind of frees you up and gives you some peace of mind about what we will talk about and not talk about. So the first myth of marketing is that it's self-promotion, right? We're here to talk about our brand, our business, promote ourselves. And you know what? In today's world, especially, marketing, every time you hear that word, we want to really train our brain to go, it's about showing up with value. It's about showing up in a way that matters to our audience, such that if we weren't there, they're like, oh, where are those guys gone? I really like their content. I really like what they were providing. So that's how we want to start to relate to marketing. Rather than it's about us talking about ourselves, we're showing up with value. The next thing is my favorite myth. I got to do so many things. Look at all these new channels that's come out. TikTok. Oh, now I've got to work that one out. Oh, Instagram, you've got posts and stories. Which one do I do? What about SEO, SEM? There's so many options. And a lot of businesses get really disempowered about, wow, I've got so many things to do. I've got no time. I don't know how to allocate my budgets, nor do I have the capacity to do them all. So I want you to relax a little bit. When it comes to marketing, less is more. It's really about focus. Strategy is about what you choose not to do is much more important than what you choose to do. So, if we can really do one or two things really well, that will set us up for a successful marketing campaign. And then finally, to create content, I've got to have a lot to say. A lot of people get intimidated. I'm not a thought leader. I don't know what to say. What I want to say about content is that it's critical, that we all, especially business owners, become content creators, because we want to be able to get our message across and our view, our take on the world or our industry across. And you don't need to have a lot to say. You really don't. And today we're going to show you, actually, it's quite simple to come up with content. And there's a formula that I want to take you through. So those are the three big myths. And I want to start by showing you a video to the point around you having to have lots to say. I want to address that point. So let me just get that clip up. All right, hang on a sec. Some of you might have already seen this video actually. All right. Can you see the screen? Okay, perfect.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's gonna stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever gonna stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
Yeah, see, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just... Sometimes it's like there's this achy... I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. Ow. If you would just...
Don't...
Try to see things my way.
Anyone can relate to that. So I want to ask a question. There's no right or wrong answer. Just want to, get a sense from what you think. What do you think is the application here to marketing? What's the relevance of that video? Just either raise your hand, physical hand, or okay, Heidi.
I think to me it says, unless we actually know what our people want, the audience we're trying to reach, so we actually listen to what they need before we can start marketing.
Yeah, perfect. Really beautifully captured. That's right. There's a lot of, we all are exposed to, I think the number is probably gone up, but on average, an average person is exposed to about 3,000 ads per day on average. It could be more now, but it's a lot of, promotion, like, hey, choose me. And we want to really flip that and go, let's listen. Let's actually be about what our audience is thinking. What are they scared of? What do they want? So we're going to start there today. We're actually going to start with your target audience. So the first thing we're going to do is I want us to come up with what are some pain points, frustrations, or misconceptions that our target audience are experiencing, that they're facing, that they're feeling. I've got an example here for my own business, which is that most businesses don't understand the importance of turning their vision into a compelling story. So that's a misconception. So what I want to see is at least we'll start with one so that we can work it through and I can show you what we're going to do with it. All right, and then I see there's a few people who joined us as well, so welcome. Hopefully you're able to catch up to this point. And if you've got a question or you want to test your thinking out, just feel free to put your hand up. Yep, I think I see a hand. I can't see your name, sorry.
It's Julie.
Oh, Julie, hi. Yes.
Hello. I think something interesting that you just said then is I think people are overwhelmed. There's just so much out there. And as somebody who's trying to position yourself in the market, it is how do you break through that noise and how do you, and as somebody who's the recipient, the customer, how do you find that frustration, misconception? Because a lot of it's actually your own perception. And how do you get through all of that and work out what they need? That's my challenge.
Yeah, very good. That's a really good question. And I like that you're now kind of thinking from their view. One of the things that helps is to also trust that, Julie, you've been around your industry long enough, and all of you and all of us have been around our industry long enough, we've had conversations with people and they've expressed certain things to us. And if we just kind of channel that and trust ourselves that, you know what, we do know actually. And that's really how you could come up with it. Because yeah, you're right. Not every time we're going to go and interview each person, but most of the time when I speak to business owners, it is in them. So you'd be able to just kind of channel, think back to some conversations you've had with potential clients or current clients. Does that give you a starting point?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So we're just coming up with one for now. Does anyone want to share what they've come up with or want to test out what they've come up with? All right. That is fine. I'm going to give you the next instruction. Oh, sorry. Actually, I lie. I said one. We actually want to come up with 4. So come up with 4 pain points, frustrations, a misconception or something they're not, they don't know about your industry. And bonus points, actually, with something that they've not even articulated it, like they may not even know that that's there. It's almost like a blind spot for them. So we're coming up with the target audience, our target audience, their pain points, their frustrations, their misconceptions about the industry that we're in, like that you're in, or about the service that they need from you, or about the problem that they need to be solved. So any kind of in that vicinity. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes of writing time, and then I'll check back in. And then if you got a question while you're working on it, just feel free to put your hand up, because it actually is valuable for the whole group when people do have questions.
So Nimarta, if I'm understanding you correctly, sort of an answer that we might come up to this question around what our audience's pain point is. So for me as a LinkedIn profile writer, my clients have a number of pain points. One of them is being objective about themselves and seeing what their clients need. So is that the sort of answer you're looking for? Because there's sort of many facets to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question.
You're absolutely right. There's many facets to it, and you just want to pick 4 that, you could say they're the top 4, but it's not really like I don't want you to kind of get into this scientific ranking. It's just kind of 4 that come to mind. And
so 4 of the things that our clients' frustration is. So what's the pain that we're solving?
Yeah, it could be frustration. It could also be a belief, like a false belief they have, like for you, Karen, it could be they don't think LinkedIn's important enough. They think LinkedIn is for job hunters.
Right. Yeah. That's great. That's awesome. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then I think there's a couple of you here. So if you're working in an agency, like marketing or digital agency, feel free to work on your own agency, but you're also free to work to use one of your clients as well if you'd like to. Yeah, great. Heidi, yours is frustration or pain for my client base is not necessarily knowing their career direction or how to achieve it. Great. Okay, great. So once you've done that, great. So I see a couple of people put theirs on the chat. Awesome. Great. All right. So once you've done that now, what I want you to do is think about your lead magnet offer. So a lead magnet is something free or really like low cost or low price point rather that you're offering to start a relationship with that potential client. So it could be a PDF, a webinar, a video, or a series of videos, an event, a white paper, a diagnostic tool. It could be a workshop. It could be a free one-on-one consult. There's so many things, and different industries may have more things, but that's kind of the gist of a lead magnet. So I want you to think about, okay, if you were to offer a lead magnet to solve that, what is it going to be? You know, so for myself, I'm going to do a free 1 hour virtual workshop. And then what's going to be your offer for each of those pain points? How are you going to start to address that pain point with this one lead magnet offer? So for me, I said, you know, to address the pain point that business don't really understand the importance of having a compelling story, I'm going to offer a free 1 hour virtual workshop. And my offer is going to be how to articulate your disruptive brand story and why it matters. So it doesn't need to be perfect, doesn't need to be the exact title you plan to use, but we just want to get a sense of what is it that you can offer for each of those pain points. Is that clear? Any questions around that? Cool. Thanks, Eop. Yep, so some ideas are also blogs, visuals, quizzes, infographics, checklists. Great. So Heidi, you've got 15 to 30 minute free consult. So if that's a one you do across, I want you to think about each one and have a different one for each. So make sure that you've got, you know, and it all, when I say different, the offer is different, but you could say, I just want to do PDFs for everyone. So do 4 PDFs. Yep. Some other ideas, surveys, demos, webinars, podcasts. Sometimes the widgets, you know, a lot of those real estate sites have how to quickly calculate your home loan. So the thing about a lead magnet is that you don't want to give it away for nothing. So even if it's free, you still want it, well, we call it a gated content. So you still want, in exchange for their email address, that's the main currency that you want to collect, even if it's free, is that you want to be able to have them download it in exchange for their email address. Right. Anyone want to share some ideas you've got for your offers? Or anyone struggling? Yeah, so you can put your virtual hand up if you want to share or have a question. So yeah, does anyone want to say what one of your offers is?
I'll just shout out here if that's okay, and just say one of my clients has a lead offer where Belinda Kerr, so she's a coach, and she has a really high ticket offering for recruitment owners. And so her lead magnet is actually a free on-demand webinar. So she doesn't even have to give time, like it's already pre-recorded and stuff like that. So I just wanted to shout out about that because yeah, Belinda Kerr just has amazing success with that as something for her.
Yeah, great. It can be a pre-recorded video or webinar that you send to someone when they request for it. Great idea.
Julie here. Karen, I was just interested, when she does that, does she then follow up with, is an automated email straight away after they do it with an additional offering? What's her sort of follow up to then Because it's all very well they watch the webinar, but how does she then convert the sale?
Yeah, that's awesome. You know what? Actually, I don't know. But she does, like myself, get a lot of phone calls from people saying, I just want to pick your brain on a few things. So I really want you to give away sort of 20 minutes or 30 minutes of time at no cost. And she says, sure, have you seen my webinar? And 9 times out of 10, they say no. And she's like, okay, watch the webinar and then we'll talk. And I don't know what she does on that webinar to get them to call her. I know that she almost has that opposite problem of a lot of people reaching out to her, wanting to have 20-minute conversations. And like myself, she just flatly refuses. But for her, she says, go and watch the webinar because that will answer a lot of your questions. And I don't think it's even an hour-long webinar. I think it's 90 minutes where she gives so much value that they think, forgive my language, but bloody hell, if that's free, imagine what I could get if I paid 10 grand. Now I should have a chat and see. So that's sort of her real offering. I know that she doesn't disclose that it's 10 grand until she's got them on the call.
Yeah, thank you.
But they think if that's what I'm getting for free, I really need to speak to this person. She just flatly refuses to give away any time for her until they've seen that free webinar.
Yeah, that's good.
Which I think it's really interesting, isn't it? So I just wanted to share that, Nimarta, because I think you and I have spoken about that before, and Belinda, and you've sort of given some advice to me around that with Belinda. But I just think that's such a great, great
that's
system.
great. And that's also a really good way to qualify a lead, isn't it? Because if someone doesn't end up, she's made it clear what's the webinar and then come talk to me. They're not
it's that IKEA effect, isn't it? If they haven't invested any time, they're not really that keen. Yeah.
Yeah, great idea. Great. Yep. Julie, short assessments. People want to learn about themselves. Yeah, great idea. All right. So does everyone have at least one offer that you've got, or have you kind of worked across and got 4 offers all done now? Do you need more time? Okay, looks like everyone's kind of got there, yeah? Great. Right, just checking the chat as well. Heidi's question, is there a danger that you give away so much IP that they don't need more? That's a good question, Heidi. Anyone got any thoughts about it? Do you want me to answer it? Cool. Yeah, look.
It's definitely something I am also concerned about, because I'm just by nature like to help people, which by definition means I try and solve their problems, which means I give away all the information. So it's really hard for me to think about that. I have to consciously try and not, explain everything in great detail, I guess.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And look, that's something that I had to, kind of work through it myself as a consultant, right? One of the things that from my own experience anyway, is that people's what you and I, if IP was all it takes to do what we could do, then everybody would download a template and just do that, wouldn't they? The value is in what we've got to offer. And it comes back to that trusting ourselves and having the confidence that we offer value. And yeah, a template could be useful. I'm going to give you a template today and you'll find it, really valuable. And it may get you to a point where you go, oh, I still think I need to pick her brain on this, or I still think, I need some help on this. And the people who are happy with the template and it does the job for them, in a way, that's a good thing, because then they're not for you anyway. Right? They're probably, in that size that they don't need you. Okay, great. So that's my take on it. I don't know,
Actually, you're right. The value is in the conversation. As a coach, that is where the gold is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So and I think a lot of people just need to know, the IP really does show our credibility, and it just cements it for them that we do know what we're talking about. We do have tools and templates, and it just builds that trust. So I wouldn't really be too concerned about giving away IP. Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking it.
Nimarta, you mentioned before about the fact that, we're hit with 3,000 ads every day. And if we look at all the research, you know, attention span is such a huge thing. So I'd probably answering my own question, but I feel I just need to talk it out loud if it's okay. Because I was thinking about Karen's example of, you know, someone investing 90 minutes of their time, then obviously they're serious, and then obviously that equates to a big dollar value booking as such. So if we're not looking at positioning ourselves at that $10,000 sort of level, is there an optimal length of free offering to offer? Like I know I click on stuff and then I'll get, you know, when they just continually talk about the same, like it's almost like that funnel advertising where you just like get to the point. I just want to know what you're offering. Yeah. Like, is there a size, a limit, a you know, a video length of time? Like, is there an optimal one that works well in marketing?
Look, I don't know. There might be some research on it. I think, you know, for a workshop, right? Like today is a 1 hour workshop. That's pretty palatable for everyone. You kind of go, okay, 1 hour, I can put that in my calendar. It kind of fits in there. If we were to say it's a 3 hour, 4 hour, you might kind of go, oh, am I going to, you know, how do I trade that off with the time I'm going to, you know, invest? If you're asking someone to watch a video by themselves and it's not a workshop, it's not, you know, interactive, you know, I don't know if you want to go over the 20 or 30 minute mark, because you just kind of can imagine someone sitting there watching it by themselves. Aside from that, you know, there's PDFs, ebooks, and things like that. People will skim read, and even the post you're talking about, I think a lot of people write with that in mind. So I don't know if you've read a lot of it, Julie, you'll know that things do get repeated, right? So the person writing it, they do write with the fact that people will skim. So I think they just cater for that. So, you know, I think always assume people skim, people don't watch things properly, people multitask. We are all fighting that war for attention, which is why when we start with what's the audience pain point, you kind of get that first like first nod, first like, hey, they get it. And when you get that, then they're more interested to listen. Why? Because it's about them now, not about you. It's like, oh, this person gets it, and they're saying that they can do something about it. Okay, let me, you know, how can they help me? Does that answer your question? And yeah, another great question. Awesome. Loving the conversation, loving the participation. All right, let's get to the next part of this. So you should now have pretty much the tag, the pain point, what's the lead magnet and what's the offer. And now this is something that I think it's really quite exciting and simple. And this is actually how we're going to map out our whole year's marketing plan, you know, a whole 12-month plan. So basically, that first pain point, that's gonna be the theme for quarter one. And what we want to do with that is we want to have a minimum of 2 posts a week. I'm saying a minimum, right? You can do more if you like, but a minimum of 2 posts a week that addresses the pain point, frustration, or misconception. It's addressing that thing that you just wrote. And you want to pick 2 channels, only 2 channels. So it could be a channel that you know that your audience is there and you're also there. You know, a channel like that is a top pick because you don't need to do a lot to establish yourself. You're already there. And it could be another channel where you go, oh, my audience is there, but I'm not really there. So let me try that one. When I say channels, I don't just mean digital, right? So I don't want you to just think, oh, do you mean social media? Yeah, it's part of it. But a marketing channel is beyond that. You know, some of you have networking groups that you're part of. That's a channel. Events is a channel. You know, some of you have the kind of services that you go to expos or trade shows. That's a channel. So there's a lot. You know, think broader in terms of channel. You know, some of you are on the GG board. That's a channel. So what I want you to do is just pick 2 channels. So all you're doing for this part is you're picking for your quarter one, what are the 2 channels you're going to focus on? And if you've got a question or you want to share what you're picking, again, just put your hand up or just shout out. Great. So Karen's got LinkedIn. Awesome. I do recommend LinkedIn as a channel if you haven't got that already. And hi, Heidi, Julie, all of you LinkedIn, great. So your challenge might be, what's the other channel you're going to pick?
Sorry, just a quick question, Nimarta. While everybody's thinking about their channels, I'd love to know, oh, Julie, I love that you picked LinkedIn as well. I'd love to know, Nimarta, do you reckon email campaigns are still effective now that we're getting just bombarded every day with emails often that we didn't ask for? Like,
yeah, look, it's a really good question, Karen. And I've been kind of studying this a lot because I have to recommend to my clients as well, right, what to do. All the research still says that email is effective. And people still read their emails. And I wonder if it's more about framing it and the frequency. Like there's a lot of emails that's just purely promotional that I think a lot of us have in our inbox that we just never open. And then I think there's some that, may catch our eye, that it is relevant, and then we open it up. So I do think it's a matter of trialing. But from all the research I've found, it still says that email is an effective channel and that people still, it's not going anywhere. Great, thanks, Karen. Thanks for asking. All right, so everyone got their 2 channels? Cool. All right, well then guess what? Guess what the next pain point is going to go into? That's going to be your quarter 2. That's the theme of your quarter 2. You're going to do 2 posts a week, again, at a minimum, and you're going to do 2 channels and add one that you'll try. So if you've always wanted to try a different channel, like you think, oh, I don't go to enough networking events, I should try that out. So that's one you'll try. And you don't have to, right? I'm pretty happy if you just pick 2 channels and stick to it for the whole year. I think that's absolutely fine. But I also know that, we get restless as business owners. We hear a lot of things. There's a lot of shiny things out there we want to try. So I'm giving you the room to be able to say, okay, here's permission to try, but only 1. 2 that we're going to use as a core channel, and then 1 you'll try. You'll do the same for quarter 3. 2 posts a week addressing the pain point, frustration, misconception, 2 channels, and 1 you'll try. You can stick to the 1 you'll try from quarter 2 and keep trying that one, or you can change it up. It's up to you. And same for quarter 4. 2 posts a week addressing that pain point, 2 channels, and 1 you'll try. So you can see it's actually quite a simple recipe, formula, template, plan, whatever you call it. And we're segmenting it by quarter. So any questions before I move on to how we're going to now create those 2 posts a week? Just looking around to see if anyone's tapped anything to the chat. Great. So, so the lead magnet offer is still our main offer. That's not going anywhere. We're doing 2 posts a week. And, this is the template that we'll share with you. If we can share that in the chat, that will be great. Io?
Yep, coming.
Great, thank you. So then basically you just say, you can write down what's the quarter, what's the pain point, what's your lead magnet, what's your offer, what channel are you going to use and try. Each month, 2 posts a week. So that's 8 posts per month. So you can say what's the title or what's the topic of your post. You almost have a 1-page planner per quarter, and that's all you need. So we put that into the chat so you can download that. If you've got PDF editor, you can do that live. And if you want to print it out and, prefer writing it, you can do that as well, whatever works best for you. Or you can, use it as an inspiration and adapt it to the template that suits you. But basically, 2 posts a week, right? How hard is that to write? And a lot of you, if you're already writing content, then I'm giving you really barely, like the bare minimum. And if you haven't been writing content, that may seem daunting. So I want to give you some ideas to get you going. 2 posts a week, we could talk to address the pain point, right? So we're always going to address that pain point. It can be behind the scenes. Hey, I had a client who was dealing with this problem, I just want to give you a sneak peek of here's what I'm doing to help them solve their problem. Here's a sneak peek of the workshop I'm running. Case studies. We've heard a lot of people who experience X problem, or they have this, X understanding of the business that we've actually helped them solve this problem. Have a look at this case study. Infographic, customer testimonials. So you can get testimonials from people who've experienced that same pain point. You can talk about a business process or service that you have that addresses that pain point. You can feature a team member, blah, 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 is really passionate about helping people who are facing this challenge. You can share a personal story, how come this matters to you? Hey, I was working in corporate for 10 years and I realized there's this one issue that business owners have and no one's been able to crack it. So I've dedicated my career to doing this, this is my story. You can do myths and mistakes, very similar to what I've done up front. You can do a how-to. You can do an FAQ, and you don't need to do like 10 in a post, right? You can pick one common question, answer it, do another question next week. Julie's got a question. So with customer testimonials, do you need approval? Yeah, I always say you ask them. And I think it also helps them, when they know that you're sharing it, they also might want to share it with their network as well. So I always think it's good to ask. Good question. Thanks for asking that. So any questions about content and posts?
Nimarta, just a second part to that question. So, and Heidi is the same as me. Heidi and I know each other. We do a lot of work through third parties. So we contract through to organisations. So we will go and deliver, workshops, facilitate coaching, all of that through third parties. So there might be government departments, universities, or anything like that. Where's the line between sharing, for example, on a website or on a case study or something like that, that it was, do you have to be really vague and just say, I did work for a government department, and you can't mention names without there is specific approval. You obviously can't use logos, things like that. So where's the line with that?
Meaning how much you can share or how much you should share?
Both.
Yeah, look, I would share as much as you can, right? Without obviously like keeping true to the, understanding and agreement you've got with them. I've worked with clients who do work with government departments before, and yeah, you're right, they can't say a lot. And sometimes I do ask permission and say, look, we'll only put this on the website where it's more generic, but can we do a more comprehensive case study where we just do it as a presentation, like on a one-on-one, with our potential clients? So they do ask permission like that, and the government department, some of them have said yes. So they have 2 versions, one for more public sharing and one where they can disclose who and share it in a presentation. But I would always go share as much as you're allowed to share.
Yeah, I'm interested in Heidi's perspective on that as well, because it's a challenge that both of us have, and when you're building that credibility, like the extent of businesses and organisations that we work with, and it's so hard because it builds your credibility, but you can't say too much, and it's always an area that I struggle with. Your perspective, Heidi?
Yeah, it's exactly what I struggle with as well. The one way that I've partly overcome any confidentiality issue, or where the client is actually not my client, but I provide the service, and I think that's what you're referring to, Julie, isn't it? It's probably better to just never disclose the company, but I do disclose the industry. So that's one way of, showing the diversity of the client base that we deal with, because my goodness, I think, we've dealt with every single industry sector throughout our coaching practices. So that's really about the only way I can do it. But I would never, unless it's if with private clients, it doesn't matter. As long as you've got permission. And if they put it on LinkedIn, if they post it on LinkedIn and post a testimonial, then I see no reason that it wouldn't, that it would contravene any privacy situation, because LinkedIn is a public site.
Yeah, I think the other thing about that as well is that, yes, sure, there's value in kind of being behind that big name, and there's ways to say it. There's ways to kind of imply or subtly say, in my work with a renowned government department in X industry, right? You use words like that to know that it's top 3 government agencies, da da da. But the other thing is that people are looking for that you can solve the pain point they've got. So I'd always advocate for always include what is the issue, what's the challenge that you solved, and highlight that challenge, because in the end, case studies is all about, can I trust that you can solve a problem like this? I've got a problem like this. Have you done something similar? They want to read that. They want to know that. And the industry, or the name of who you work with is more like it's like a checkbox for them. So okay, that ticks it off. But yeah, so I think focusing on that pain point, and then there's clever things to do. Like I've got a lot of clients who are in the startup world, and they've not come out and launched yet. I finished my work with them, but they're now taking 6 months to get their app ready and get all that. I can't share anything at all. It's all confidential. So I just put the industry on my website, and I say, they're all hatching their businesses up. So I can't tell you who, but if you really want to know, give me a buzz and I can tell you, we can talk about it. Great. Yeah, all great questions. So I'm going to give you about a few minutes just to start to brainstorm, so that you're not walking out of here with, blank. You're actually putting some ideas down. So start to look at, for Q1, to address that pain point, what are some content ideas that you can implement? And the way how it all fits together with the lead magnet piece is that you probably don't want to be promoting your lead magnet piece in every post, but if you do 2 posts a day, for example, 2 posts a week, for example, then one of them you could say, blah, 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 I've created this tool to address this. Or if you want to find out more, download this or register for this webinar. Like you kind of put that as a call to action for at least 1 post per week. That's how I would do it. All right, so I'll give you about 2 minutes to brainstorm. Okay, one more minute. And feel free to share some ideas in the chat as well. All right. So I want to then have you have a look at what your next actions are. So you might have brainstormed some content and you still might have quite a bit to go for quarter 1. So my invitation is to just have a look at what are your next actions and schedule a time to complete quarter 1 content. Even if you just complete the content ideas, and then, you know, each of us have different styles. Some people want to write all your content up front and then just post when the time comes. Some of you like, you know, scheduling time to do the posting and writing on the actual day itself. So it's really what works for you. There's no set ways to do it, but I'm recommending that you take a moment now to schedule some time in your calendar so that you know that that occasion's coming. And then, you know, by way of wrapping up, I would love to hear, what are some of your key takeaways? What are you taking away from this session? What's something that you know, maybe it's an aha moment for you from our time together here, just, you know, opening it up to hear from you.
I'm happy to share.
Sure.
Verbally. So I've got a couple of things. I think my key takeaway so far has been is just don't overcomplicate it and don't try and be everything to everyone. And it was good having a moment to brainstorm, just looking at my notes, brainstorm all of the different ways you can do it and advertise, and also with that lead magnet, being really specific about what that is. And yeah, so I feel like I've just scratched the surface and I've got a lot more ideas. I need to just keep brainstorming. And I think my other key takeaway is, coming back to my first one, is not overcomplicating it, not feeling like you've got to do this massive, big work process. Keep it simple and just keep persevering. And it is the long game, not the short game in some ways.
Yeah, great. Perfect. So Nell's agreed with you. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Julie. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else? What are some key takeaways? Or you might still be left with questions. We've got a couple of minutes so I can answer them as well. Yes, Simi?
I think one of the things that like I struggle with a lot is just trying to come up with content that, you know, okay, I have to stick to a schedule. I have to produce 4 content per week. What do I do? There's all that like pressure and struggle. But then what I realize is like the main takeaway for it is for the audience. Like that's why we're doing this, you know. What we're getting from it, that's a bonus. It's not the objective. The objective is actually seeing how we can better their lives, what we can offer to them. And I think having that as the main basis of everything, content just becomes a lot easier to create.
Yeah, great. Yeah, really, really great. And yeah, I think, as you know, we get really preoccupied with like, what can I produce? I gotta produce stuff. I gotta put something out there. And yeah, I love what you said about if we just flip and go, oh, I'm producing it for the audience. What can I say to make a difference to them or add value to their life? Then it puts the pressure off. And we already know how to do that, you know, all of us. Yeah, great. Thanks, Simi.
I'd like to just say what Julie said earlier is exactly my takeaway as well. But what I've actually also got is the ideas that you just presented before for creating content, if you like. So I've got 5 that I've written down that I know I can create content about. And that's actually made it much easier for me to think about what I'm going to write. So I've already put some ideas down. So thank you.
You're welcome. That's great. I look forward to seeing all of your content. Come and connect with me on LinkedIn. Thanks, Karen. She's very kindly put a link to my LinkedIn profile. So feel free to connect with me so I can stalk you and your content as well. Thanks, Heidi. Anyone else? Key takeaways or questions?
I've got a question, but I'm happy to wait if anyone else wants to share before I jump in. No one else?
I have a question as well.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we take questions?
My question is, so what, two questions actually, what is it that you do with, let's say, a startup or let's say if I came to you and said, right, I need help, what's your offering? This is your opportunity to actually sell yourself, Nimarta. But what do you actually do?
Thanks for asking. So I help businesses in a few different ways. So the main offering really is relates to strategy and storytelling. So a lot of businesses have this brilliant vision of what they want to do in their industry, and I work with what I call disruptor brands. And I'm sure many of you actually will identify with that. It's people who are seeing something in the industry and not satisfied with how it is and going, it can be better, and I'm going to do something to make it better. So I work with those businesses to really articulate what's their story, what's their vision. So I help with the storytelling part. They basically get their story in a few pages that they can use everywhere. Then if they would like to, then I also work with them to come up with their marketing strategy. So, similarly to the process we went through today, but obviously it's more hands-on. We spend more time together. We map it all out so that they have absolute clarity what they need to do. With some of them, they like to, have me on board and engage me longer term to almost be like their virtual marketing partner. So depending on how much time they need from me and the size, I negotiate, what's going to work for them and me, and kind of stick on as their marketing advisor. And then for some of them, they've got, a team of junior marketers who don't really have a lot of guidance, and they themselves aren't marketers, so they can't guide their junior marketer. So I then work as a mentor to those junior marketers and coach them through the different principles of strategy and marketing.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I might connect with you offline and have a conversation, because what I'm interested in also is, like a lot of us sound like we're solo practitioners, solo business, budget-wise, very limited. It is, what way can we sort of work with someone like yourself?
Sure.
But yeah, so maybe that's an offline conversation.
Yeah, great. Happy to have a chat.
Yeah, maybe we can all do a group session.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Great. And then thanks for asking that question as well, Julie, and giving me a chance to say a bit about what I do. And I think we've got final few minutes. And Sydney, you've got a question?
Yeah, I think like one of the things that I also struggle with is, so I'm a content producer and I handle mostly social media for our clients. And one of the things that I struggle with is like with the 2 channels that you let us choose, how do we, is it necessary to kind of cater those content as per the channels, or how important that is? For example, mine is between LinkedIn and Facebook. Yeah.
As in like making sure different content? Is that what you're asking?
It's the same content, but do we kind of have to cater it according to the platform? That's because with LinkedIn, I know that, now it's becoming a lot more, people share more personal stuff on it. But for me, it's still a gray area. To what extent do you go to that personalness?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question. And if you were like, a well-established corporation or business, I would say, yeah, it's important to cater to different channels. But where we are now, and all of us, and including myself, it's just, we just got to put something out there.
Yeah,
people don't know about you enough, right? So we just got to put it out there. Of course, sure, Instagram is more about photos and videos. If you can cater, great. If you can't, it's still better than doing nothing. So
Can
it's
I
still about putting yourself out there.
Can I just add to that, Nimarta?
Yeah,
This is something that we talk about at Growth Gen all the time.
Yeah.
So the reason why we talk about life and business at Growth Gen is because we want small business owners or solopreneurs like yourself to integrate them, because the stresses of trying to think of, separating your life and your business actually creates more strife for you. So the key is to get some clarity first. So you want to get some clarity of where do I want to be in my life? And then how do I use my business to sort of take me to where I need to be in my life? And then that marketing message usually comes from that in between. That's just my experience, but that's something that we also share a lot at Growth Gen, and that's why I thought I'd quickly jump in and share it with you.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Eob. Yeah, and then to the point that what Eob is saying is well, Simi, like, yeah, personal. I'd go personal. You've got the advantage of having a phase to your business.
Yeah.
Corporations don't. I would go as personal as you can. Yeah, great. Cool. Well, thank you for your participation today. Thanks again, Eob, and the great work that the guys at Growth Gen are doing to host these amazing and really valuable workshops. So do check them out if you haven't already. And connect with me. I'd love to connect with all of you. And thanks for your, thanks for your engagement and just being really a great workshop participants. It's been a lot of fun for me. So I hope you got value out of today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Nimarta. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.